Hey guys, what's going on? My name's Tyler McNabb, and this is Project 400EX Refresh. So in the last episode, I went through and I got everything buttoned up with the head. Went through and if you remember, I had a head stud strip out, so I had to put new threads in the front of the cylinder. And then I also had a little bit of trouble with the cam. I finally got it timed. Had the cam chain slip off down on the crankshaft, so got that and got this thing timed, and it's pretty much ready to slap the valve cover on, adjust the valves, and then throw on our extra stuff. We've got the gas tank to put on, we got the carburetor, we got the air box, we got the exhaust, and then this thing will be ready to start up this episode. So let's jump right into it. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get the valve cover on, and then I'll probably do a how-to on adjusting the valves. So let's get right into it. Okay, so the next thing you need to do when you get top end back together, when you put it back together, you need to adjust the valves. So first thing you're going to want to do is take these caps off, take one of them off, and then you're going to need a flathead screwdriver, a 10mm wrench, and a set of gauges. I forget what they're called. But these little measuring gauges. And so first thing you're going to do is you're going to put your screwdriver in here, and then you're going to loosen. Oh, actually, it's the other way. I'm going to loosen. There we go. That guy. And then what we're going to do is we're going to check the valve clearance. And so the intakes on these for an OEM cam is supposed to be 0.004 inches. Hot cam recommends 0.005, basically 0.001 inch bigger. But I like to just keep it at stock. That's just what I've always done with my machines, so that's what we'll check for. So I get out my feeler gauge, that's what they're called. I get out my feeler gauge that's 0.004. I'm not sure if you can see that, but it's 0.004 inches. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to run it under this valve, and it feels pretty good. But what you're going to do is you're going to feel for a little bit of resistance. You'll be able to tell whether it's too much or too little. So if I back this way up, it's really loose. And then so what I'm going to do is tighten it just a little bit. So I get my resistance, and there's some good resistance right there. So then I'm going to keep it right where I've adjusted it, hold it with my flathead screwdriver, and then I'm going to tighten down my 10 mil. There we go. And that's literally all you have to do for all four valves. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. This is the other intake valve, so it'll be the same. And then the two exhaust valves, the stock clearance is 0.005 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then we'll move on to the next thing. Okay, so got the head on, or the valve cover on, and the valves adjusted. That's not too hard. You just want to definitely make sure you do that, because especially if you put it on and your valves are really tight, then it'll be super hard to start. If your valves are really loose, it'll start, but it'll be super chatty up in the head. So you'll hear it'll be very ticky. You'll if you own a 400EX, you know, because they're kind of known. Even when the valves are in adjustment, they've got kind of a tick up top a lot of times. So it just depends on the quad. But yeah, you'll definitely know if the valves are loose. So you just want to get those in adjustment, make sure it's easy to start and not chatting and ticking up top. So yeah, so everything is good to go here. And so pretty much all we got left to do is just put everything back on. So I'm gonna go ahead, do a quick time lapse. We'll get the gas tank, airbox, carb, exhaust, and pretty much once we get all that stuff on, we'll be ready to start. So let's get this thing ready and get her started up. Okay, so we're ready to put oil in this thing, and the stuff I use is this Maxima break-in oil. It's 10W30, so it's a little bit lighter weight. Normally I run 10W40, but then it's also got a bunch of zinc in it. It's got 2 times zinc. That's just supposed to help with the break-in process of the engine. So this is the oil, or Maxima is the brand of oil that my local dealer carries. So that's just what I run. I've always had good luck with it. So yep, that's what I run. So let's get this thing filled up and ready to start. Guys, well, got it all back together. Got the tank filled up with gas, got the engine filled with oil. Well, I filled the oil tank with oil, but yeah, so these are a dry sump system. So for one thing, if you didn't know, you'll fill, I think I put basically 1.5 quarts in the tank, and so right now none of that is in the engine other than, you know, the residue that's in there and the oil that I've kind of put on stuff. But basically, once the engine starts to turn over, the oil pump will suck oil in. So once it runs for, you know, 20-30 seconds and sucks some oil in, then I'll go ahead and fill the put the rest of the oil in the tank. So these things usually take right around 2 quarts. I think it's actually like 1.9 something, but I usually just put 2 quarts in. So anyway, I've got that ready to go. I think pretty much everything is ready to go. So we're gonna try to fire this thing up and see if she fires. So let's do it. Okay guys, well, we are ready to start it up. I went to try to start it the other day when I was making the video. It's actually a couple days later, and I hit the starter button and nothing. I thought it was because the battery was super dead. Turns out the battery was super dead. It needed a new battery, but that wasn't the reason. I thought it was a starter solenoid because I jumped the solenoid and it turned over, but then I ended up checking and there was a fuse back here that was blown. So that was as simple as replacing a little 15 amp fuse. So I replaced that, and so the starter solenoid was good. And as you can hear now, tried to fire. So okay, so let's see, make sure I've got the fuel on, and we should be good to go. So let's try to fire up. Cycle on it. There's a million different ways you can break these engines in. Every person you ask is going to tell you a different way. Some people are going to say start it up and ride it like it was stolen, and then other people are going to say, oh well, you want to, you know, heat cycle it 4 times, and then you want to ride it easy for like 4 hours, and then ride it a little harder for another 4 hours, and then, you know, eventually, you know, once you got 10 hours of riding on it, then you can maybe start riding it hard. So it's literally, there's all over the place. What I like to do is I'll put probably 3 heat cycles on it, and basically a heat cycle is just starting it up, letting it warm up to the point where the oil gets nice and warm, and you just want to vary your throttle a little bit. You know, don't let it sit in idle, but also, you know, don't bang it off the rev limiter. Just go out there, just go start it up, you know, rev it every now and then, just to give some variation, let those rings really sit in. I like to do that 2 or 3 times, and then once I've done that, then I'll go and I'll ride it easy for maybe a half hour or so, close to an hour, and then I'll start to get, you know, a little bit, I'll start to ride it a little bit more for a little harder for probably an hour or so, and then probably once I've got an hour to 2 hours of riding time on it, it's pretty much ready to go for me. I go ahead and I start ripping on it. So like I said, everyone's going to tell you different. That's how I do it, and it's worked out for me the last couple times I've done rebuilds. So yeah, so I'm going to go ahead, do a heat cycle on this, and then we should be good to go on this thing. Okay guys, well, that's probably going to be about it for this video. So we finally got this thing up and running, and it runs. So that's really good. Yeah, that was the main objective, is get this thing rebuilt. That's always the main objective when you rebuild an engine, is for it to run. So we were able to get it running, and it seems to be running pretty good as of this moment. So we'll just have to wait, do some heat cycles, and then the carburetor tuning can commence. I think it was already pretty rich. I think he had it fairly rich before, so we may not need to jump up on the jet size as much anyway. So yeah, once I get a couple heat cycles on it, then we can go test ride it, figure out what needs done with jetting. But other than that, like I said, I think that'll conclude this video. The only thing really left to do on this is to kind of put the main stuff back on, the skid plate and some stuff like that, and then eventually we're going to be putting the plastics back on it and that kind of stuff. So, well guys, kind of a sad day. My buddy just came and picked up the Project 400EX refresh, so I was planning on doing like another video or so, but he was really dying to get back riding. He hasn't ridden it since like November last year when it blew up, so he was dying to get it going, and I was just struggling, running out of time with some stuff. I've been real busy with work, and I mow on the side and stuff, so messing with a lot of that stuff. But it won't be the last time you see that quad. I'll get some updated pictures for you. We went ahead and threw the new plastics and put a 250R hood on it, so it definitely won't be the last time you see the quad, because I ride with him all the time. So we'll definitely do some riding videos here soon, and I'll show you the finished product and everything. But hope you guys enjoyed the series. It was really fun going through and kind of filming a tutorial kind of video, but at the same time kind of an entertainment video on just going through and rebuilding the quad and doing some side projects here and there, some powder coating, some stuff I'd never done, never powder coated cases or anything like that. And so it was definitely a challenge, because I think he bought that engine from a guy for like 400 bucks. So like, and it ran when he bought it. So the engine was definitely not in the greatest shape, but we got it rebuilt, and so it's running great now. No smoke, no nothing like that. Feels good. He's gonna go home, break it in, and then once it's good and broke in, then we will probably go and do some riding with him. So hope you guys enjoy the series. Appreciate you watching, and I'll see you in the next one.